Coming up on The Cut,
an update on the Louvre heist,
how tariffs are affecting this Halloween season,
and a crazy week in sports.
All this and more coming up on The Cut.
The Cut starts now.
Hello and welcome to the Cut Network. I'm Abby Jurek.
And I'm Ileana James.
Sunday night, Hurricane Melissa reached a Category 4 strength and grew stronger into the week. The storm then surged over Haiti and Jamaica, resulting in catastrophic flooding. Later in the week, the storm crossed over Cuba into the Bahamas. The U.S. National Hurricane Center recommended that people in all locations take shelter for several days. However, by Wednesday, dozens were left dead. Melissa was moving with 185-mile-per-hour winds in Jamaica, making it one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record. Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic received 30 inches of rain, while other areas experienced even more. Because of the stormy conditions, Jamaica closed its 2 airports, and residents across the country were ordered to evacuate. Because of this, over 650 shelters opened for people to seek refuge. Countless communities were directly impacted by Melissa as 13-foot storm surge heights destroyed city structures. Melissa is the 13th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, which concludes at the end of November.
Following the now infamous Louvre jewelry heist earlier last week, 2 suspects have been arrested and are now in custody of Parisian officers. According to the Associated Press, the suspects were arrested on Saturday evening. The suspects are both men in their 30s. One was caught at Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport as he was attempting to leave the country. Investigators used DNA traces from the scene, along with more than 150 forensic samples, to link them to the crime. The stolen jewels were estimated at an approximate worth of 88 million euros, or $102 million in value, according to the prosecutor's office. While the arrests mark a significant step in French authorities' journey to solve this case, officials recognize that the heist remains a complex case with the majority of the jewels still missing.
A new Halloween tradition has started at Rawhide, Arizona. Cut reporter Bentley Yank has a story. Bentley?
Thank you, Abby. Glowing Pumpkins at Rawhide is a fall-time event featuring more than 5,000 illuminated pumpkins arranged in themed scenes and sculptures. The path through the event is roughly 1 mile long. It offers family-friendly fun, photo opportunities, food trucks and drink options, and runs in the evening hours. This is the second year that this event has taken place. This event was referred to as a, quote, one-of-a-kind walkthrough, end quote. If you're looking for something fun and family-oriented, Glowing Pumpkins is a fantastic option. For the Cut Network, I'm Bentley Yank, aka Wednesday Adams.
Thank you, Bentley. We'll be sure to check it out. The state of Arizona sued the House of Representatives over Speaker Mike Johnson's decision to not swear in Representative-elect Alida Grijalva. The lawsuit is following a demand from Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays that Johnson should swear in Grijalva, who had won a special election at the end of September in Arizona's District 7, following her father, Raul Grijalva's footsteps, who died back in March. He passed away just 4 days after Johnson dismissed lawmakers following the House passage of the Clean Continuing Resolution in an attempt to fund the government. Throughout the government shutdown, Johnson has continued to shrug off the delay, denying the decision is related to Grijalva's intent to become the 218th signature on the petition to release the Epstein files.
A fun night turned violent at multiple parties across the valley. Cut reporter Diana Neopork has the details.
Thank you, Ileana. Police departments across the valley are investigating multiple violent incidents connected to Halloween parties over the weekend, including 2 shootings and a stabbing. Despite the chaos, authorities say no lives were lost and all victims are expected to recover. In Phoenix, officers responded to reports of a shooting just before midnight on Saturday. Police say 2 men were shot at a Halloween party, both suffering non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect left the scene before officers arrived, and detectives continued to investigate. In Mesa, a stabbing broke out shortly after midnight Saturday. Officers say a fight erupted after uninvited guests showed up to a party. One man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and a 19-year-old suspect was arrested on charges including disorderly conduct and trespassing. Around the same time in Scottsdale, police responded to a home after reports that someone had been shot at a Halloween party. The victim was also taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators are still working to identify those involved. Thankfully, everyone is expected to be recovering after a fright-filled weekend across the valley. Residents are reminded to stay safe and keep Halloween all treats, no tricks. For the Cut Network, I am Diana Nichiborook.
Thank you, Deanna. Be sure to stay safe this Halloween weekend. This Halloween season, retailers and consumers are seeing a noticeable shift in the cost and composition of candy. Prices are up and chocolate flavors are less dominant. According to CNN, the retail price of Halloween candy has increased by around 10.8% compared with last year. One major factor driving that increase is in the sharp rise of cocoa bean prices, which have been influenced by supply distributions in major growing regions. The share of chocolate in Halloween candy sales has declined. Chocolate now accounts for about 44% of sales in the 12 weeks leading up to early October, down from approximately 52% the prior year. Manufacturers are responding to these cost changes in different ways, passing on higher costs to consumers, reducing the cocoa content in products, and shifting their assortments toward lower-cost non-chocolate candies like gummies and fruity sweets. As one small business owner put it, quote, "The tariffs have hit every single piece of what goes into every single thing. For consumers, that means that the candy they purchase may cost more, and what looks like chocolate may contain less cocoa or be replaced with more non-chocolate items."
Continuing with the Halloween spirit, a Valley resident has gone all out on his decorations. Cut reporter Celeste Rivas shares the experience. Celeste?
A Valley man dedicated his Halloween-decorated front yard to Ozzy, the Prince of Darkness. Billy Gonzalez was heartbroken when he heard the news that the legendary Ozzy Osbourne had died back in July. He said that even today he still chokes up over it. Gonzalez decided to turn this holiday into a full-on Ozzy Halloween after being inspired when someone dressed up a skeleton as the godfather of metal. His yard is lit up with purple lights and decorated with dead fans coming out of the ground, rocking out to an Ozzy skeleton, wearing his iconic cross necklace. Gonzalez even included a Sharon Osbourne skeleton in the corner and the infamous bat in one of Ozzy's hands. Gonzalez said, quote, "I hope to see more Ozzy Halloweens throughout Phoenix and throughout the nation," end quote. Gonzalez's hope is kept alive, as this is not the only Ozzy tribute the world has seen this Halloween. In Rhode Island, a resident has transformed his home into a pumpkin patch, featuring at least 40 carved Ozzy pumpkins. In Chicago, a bar and rock club is celebrating Ozzy's album, Blizzard of Oz, the night before Halloween. May the Halloween Ozzy tributes keep coming. For the Cut Network, I'm Celeste Rivas.
Thank you, Celeste. Now moving on to a busy week in sports, we have sports anchor Cindy Craven at the desk. Cindy?
Thank you, Abby. Hello, and welcome back to Sports on the Cut. This past week has been unsettling in the eyes of many. For Arizona State University, home losses in both football and soccer have left the Inferno distraught as these teams prepare for their final few games. After a 26-22 victory against previously number 7 ranked Texas Tech and a previously undefeated record at home, ASU football seemed to have the advantage over Houston. However, the Sun Devils were not so fortunate. Coach Kenny Dillingham spoke on how the absence of wide receiver Jordan Tyson was a great disadvantage when he told reporters, quote, "Losing the number 1 pick in his position in college football, so obviously, that's pretty critical," end quote. As this team heads into their Week 10 game against Iowa State without starting quarterback Sam Leavitt, they definitely have their work cut out for them. For Sun Devil soccer, the team suffered a devastating last home game loss to the number 9 TCU. The Horned Frogs dominated in the first half. However, ASU's Tatum Thomason gave the Sun Devils some hope in the second half when her goal, assisted by Addison Baltodano, set the score 2-1. Unfortunately, this wasn't enough and TCU came out victorious with a final score of 2-1. In the world of professional sports, the Dodgers and Blue Jays are fighting for the World Series title. In Game 1 of the series, the Blue Jays were able to take home the win with a score of 11-4. The Dodgers then came back on Day 2, tying the series with their score of 5-1. Game 3 was anything but normal. Stuck in a stagnant score of 5-5, the teams went on to play 18 innings before the Dodgers finally broke the tie, setting them one game ahead. Both teams have shown great determination in winning this title. If the Dodgers win this series, it will be their second consecutive World Series win and their 9th overall win. Looking over to Toronto, if they're able to win, it will be the team's first win since 1993. Both teams definitely have something worth fighting for, and this win will be big either way. Looking quickly over to the NFL, beloved running back Cam Skattebo suffered a likely season-ending ankle injury in last Sunday's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Many fans were touched by the moment between Skattebo and quarterback Jackson Dart, where the two shared their well-known headbutt before Skattebo was carted off the field. The loss of this running back is both a setback for the Giants and many who had this star running back on their fantasy football teams. Skattebo has gone through a successful surgery and is now on his way to recovery. Sticking with New York teams, the Jets were able to secure their first win of the season against the Bengals with a close final score of 39-38. That's about all I have for you this week. For sports, thank you for joining me. I'm Cindy Craven, and now back to the desk.
Thank you, Cindy. Next up, we have entertainment anchor Lizzie Hadel with what went down in the entertainment world this week. Lizzie?
Thank you, Abby. Welcome back to the entertainment segment on The Cut, and happy Halloween. This year we have had many new horror movies come out in theaters, from Sinners to Weapons and the newest chart topper, Black Phone 2. Black Phone 2 premiered in theaters on October 16th and is the sequel to the 2021 movie Black Phone. The cast includes Mason Thames, Jeremy Davies, Madeline McGrath, and Ethan Hawke, and was the #1 box office seller for its opening weekend. One critic said, quote, "Black Phone 2 is a well-rounded film, one that accomplishes its mission to scare, shock, and capture attention." Along with this, the latest Conjuring sequel, The Conjuring Last Rites, came out in theaters on September 5th. However, it has stayed in the top 15 for box office performance. Horror movies are making a comeback in theaters, and according to Brooke Barnes from the New York Times, quote, "Horror has become one of Hollywood's last reliable ticket sellers. Dramas have disappeared from theaters, but it's hard to replicate that group scare dynamic at home." Heidi Klum is a German-American model who is known for her iconic Halloween costumes each year. She has gained the title Queen of Halloween, and in the past few years, she has been a female E.T., a peacock, a worm, and a werewolf from the Thriller music video. Her costumes may seem basic when you say them out loud, however, months of work goes into them. This year, she said that she is going to be, quote, "very ugly," and this year, she hinted on her social media with a plaster cast of the back of her body, saying, quote, "feeling cheeky." Check out her Instagram to find out what she dressed as. That's all for this spooky week, but come back next week for all things entertainment. For the Cut Network, I'm Lizzie Hadel.
Thank you, Lizzie. We all have our Halloween traditions. For many, this includes going door-to-door trick-or-treating, but for residents of Oregon, the spooky season means it's time for pumpkin races. The races include huge floating pumpkins that participants sit in and use in a similar way to a kayak. Racers paddle their way to the finish line in costume and attempt to not fall in a small man-made lake. The West Coast Giant Pumpkin Regatta has been an annual event in a suburb of Portland since 2004. Forklifts and heavy machinery are needed to place the enormous pumpkins into the water before the race. Pumpkin growers and competitors use saws and knives to cut a hole in the top of the pumpkins. The teams then worked together to scoop out the pumpkin guts. AP News says there were enough discarded pumpkin insides to fill a dumpster. Now, if you were to participate in this floating pumpkin race and you couldn't use a pumpkin, what fruit or vegetable would you use?
I think I would use a banana.
I think that's a really great idea because you could fit friends, and you could also like take a little bite out of the banana. Like, I feel
really
like
good.
that's a better snack than a pumpkin. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I love that decision. That's all we have for you this week.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow on Instagram @The Cut Network. Have a happy Halloween.
Good night.
Bye.